This is the 21st season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, AFTCO, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. Back in studio for the first time in a week. I headed to last week. I was up in Minnesota for my buddy Adam Bartuzek's wedding. It was basically just a bunch of fishing guys that had to dress up and wear a tie, so it was awesome. We got to talk fishing. I got to talk fishing with a bunch of guys that I only get to see a couple times a year, like at the Dick Hiley St. Jude Bass Classic. And that he had some like musky guys. It was an eclectic mix because you had like the bass fishing guys, and then you had like sport fishing guys, like musky guys, and then you had the ice fishing guys. And there's like 250 people there. I like to just look around the room and be like, that's an ice fishing table, that's a bass fishing table, that's a musky table. So that was fun. But after that, I went to Wisconsin for the second year of the In-Fisherman Master Angler Quest with Matt Steffen. He came here last year. We hit some adverse weather conditions. We were still able to knock out a Master Angler crappie, and we continued the panfish train. We ended up knocking out a Master Angler perch. Matt was an ounce short. I don't think he was too heartbroken about it. That means he gets to go back to the perch grounds to catch him, but I ended up catching a 14.5-inch, 1 pound, 13-ounce yellow perch. You can watch all of the action over on Matt Steffen's YouTube channel, and then we kind of mashed it up with a BTL at night. So we did a full week of BTLs last week, just in the evening after we had driven all over Wisconsin. We did drive all over Wisconsin. We did walleye and muskie and smallmouth and yellow perch, a really cool fishery that he has up there. So something that I look forward to every fall. Just kind of reminds you of why you love fishing. We're going to have a week of guests on this week, and these guys also love fishing, not only because they catch them, but it's also very lucrative for them. We're going to kick off today's show with Spencer Shuffield, who I always like interviewing a guy who's been chasing a goal for a number of years. Like, a unexpected tournament win is nice, but when you got a guy who's been vocal about, hey, I want this. I've been chasing this tournament, who's been close before, who's been on the stage multiple times when the trophy is handed out, and then they get that job accomplished. To me, that's always a cool interview. We're going to get to hear about that. Spencer Shuffield, 4 years of fishing the U.S. Open, 2 second-place finishes and a fourth-place finish, and then he gets the job done. I mean, it was pretty impressive. So Kyle Grover, who won in 2023, was in third, and then the one and only Ben Milliken jumped in the U.S. Open. Dang near won the thing, but then Spencer Shuffield came in. I was talking a little bit with Ben, texting with him, and he's like, dude, Spencer deserved that thing. Like, he's been so close. Like, he's got that place just super dialed in. He was like, it had no business winning that as dialed in as he is out there on Mohave. So we'll talk to Spencer here in a couple minutes. Then tomorrow, a double dose of Howell. You had Laker Howell, who in my recent memory is one of the first guys that I can remember winning a major tournament. I think exclusively almost on topwater. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I can remember some tournaments where topwaters were a major player. I mean, there's no way you have to go all the way back to Zell with the Popar for a wire to wire topwater win. But Laker Howell on after his EQ win a couple weeks ago, and then Randy went out in the Ultimate Angler $1 million Lake Gunnersville tournament this past week and finished third for $70,000. So I said, why not get the Howells on for $150,000? We'll talk about how all that went down. We'll talk about some BFL stuff, all sorts of stuff in the second half of the show. But right now, let's bring in Spencer Shuffield, who I've said this. Billy Egan's been on the show. Spencer, when it comes to bang for the buck for investment entry fee versus output, nothing touches a candle to the U.S. Open year in and year out. Like $160,000, a new boat, $65K cash, but also the history, the mystique, the aura that kind of goes along with that U.S. Open. Congratulations on adding your name to that trophy.
Man, I appreciate it. Yeah, that's the one tournament I have wanted to win so bad ever since I fished it for the first time in 22. So to get that on the resume and just to accomplish that, it means the world to me for sure.
What was it that made you want to jump in that U.S. Open? You've been doing this for a long time. It was at Lake Mead. It moved to Mohave. I believe you've only fished it at Mohave. That first year that it was at Mohave, with the Lake Mead water levels down, 2022. Josh Bertrand wins that. You finished second by 1.5 pounds. But what was it in 2022 where you said, "All right, I'm heading out west for this Derby"?
Well, I'd won the title up on the St. Lawrence River that year, and I've never been west before. Me and my wife, neither one of us had ever been west of Oklahoma. And I've got an uncle that goes out there and does a lot of elk and mule deer hunting, and he just talks to us all the time. And so we wanted to go out there and see kind of what it was about. And while I was out there, I thought I want to fish the U.S. Open. I mean, perfect opportunity, you know. So we went out there and I fished that tournament and just absolutely fell in love with that area out there. It's just incredible to be a big old lake out in the middle of the desert like that, and it's just full of 4-pound smallmouth. It's pretty incredible.
For those who haven't been out there, and I've never actually laid eyes on Mohave, it's on my bucket list to fish that tournament on Mohave as well. How does that lake lay out? To me, like, you look at the pictures, you look at it on aerial, and you're like, man, there's like nowhere to hide out here. Like, it's pretty wide open and there are no secrets. So it seems really impressive to me that 4 consecutive years you've been in the hunt to win it when everyone pretty much knows how it's going to go down and where. Am I somewhat correct in that assessment?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a good fishery. I mean, it's so full of 3.5-pound largemouth and 3.5 to 4-pound smallmouth. So, and it's not really any dead area. It seems like no matter where you want to go on that body of water, you're going to catch a lot of fish and their quality. So I just think it kind of spreads everybody out a lot for the most part. And I've just got a couple like little 2 to 2.5 mile sections that it just seems like has a little better quality every year. Instead of like 390s on the average that you're catching, you catch a 420 to a 460 every now and then. So, I mean, I just kind of really hunker down in those couple little areas and catch as many of them as I can.
And it seems like a drop shot is, I mean, you can go there with 6 drop shots on your front deck and compete for the win, kind of looking back over the history of Mohave. Why is it that the drop shot and not some more of these, I don't want to say newfangled, but the Nikos and the minnows and the spy baits and things like that don't play? I mean, it seems like it's kind of a meat and potatoes, put a drop shot in front of a smallmouth and see what happens type of deal.
Well, I mean, it's not that they don't bite the minnow. They eat it good out there. And I caught a bunch this week on a spy bait during practice,
Okay.
just having fun. Those smallmouth there act just like they do in New York. I mean, they bite the same stuff. Very aggressive, good biting smallmouth. The problem or for me, it's just your bite to land ratio with a drop shot is nearly 100%. So that's why I stick with it. And you will have some come up and swerve the minnow. If you have 15 come to it, you're probably only going to get about 5 of them to bite. But if I get 15 to go to the drop shot, I'm going to get probably 10 to 12 of them to bite. So that's just
Okay.
kind of why I stick with the drop shot.
Interesting. I was looking, and I'm going to share a picture of it, but it's interesting, from like the first year where it's just like flat. Now we're starting to see some interesting things come into play. I mean, that was part of the arsenal. Arsenal out there. Talk about your kind of experience. I'm showing that G crack. How do you even say that, Spencer?
Emo Kamushi.
The Emo Kamushi. It's a
Yep.
it's a chunky dice bait. Like, it's a dice bait basically,
Yeah.
but did you notice, like, I mean, is that something that you've thrown in previous years, or is this something where you just picked it up this year and they actually reacted differently to it than they did the stuff that they've seen for the last 4 years out there?
No, I threw it last year. I had it
Okay.
last year, and it was the deal. I had a buddy, Evan Barnes. He's a real good friend of mine, lives here in Arkansas as well, and he was actually on the exact same stretch Brian Smith won it on. And I never mentioned a word to him about it. He didn't ask. I just told him I was catching him on a drop shot, and he told me, he's like, man, Brian is whacking them on my stretch. He's like, they're going to my stuff, but I cannot get them to bite. And it was going into the last day of the tournament, and he hadn't caught. He had only averaged like 12 pounds a day, and I told him, I said, have you not tried the fuzzy? And he had some of the DOS, which that was the OSP DOS they were using. And he said,
Those.
no, I have, yeah, those. And he said, no, I haven't tried it yet. And I said, well, you might ought to try it because I'm throwing the Emo Kamushi made by G-Crack. And he put it on, and that next day he caught almost 19 pounds on that exact same stretch with Brian that they'd been fishing all week, and he hadn't been able to get him to bite. And I look back at that, and I'm like, what would have happened last year had I told him day one? He might have caught a lot of those fish Brian ended up weighing in to win last year. But it wasn't meant to be. I mean, I don't necessarily regret it or
Yeah.
anything, but I just look back at it and see he was throwing flatworms and flat-nosed minnows and things like that last year on that stretch, and those smallmouth wouldn't bite it. And Brian was catching them really good on the DOS, supposedly. And Evan went to the DOS, and he caught way more the last day than he did day 1 and 2. But I threw the Emo Kamushi last year is what I threw, and I caught just piles of them. But honestly, to me, it seemed like they bit it better this year than they did last year. And everybody had it.
Are you do you shake it? Do you slackline it? Do you dead stick it? I know I've fished it a little bit on leech in the Bassmaster Open. I was and then around Minnesota some, and I was like, you know, a smallmouth is a smallmouth, but I was like, my God, there are instances where they eat this stuff better than the other. What's your preferred way to fish that thing?
Well, me, I mean, I just throw it out there, and I'll try to keep, you know, once it gets to the bottom, I try and keep my weight from moving, and I just shake it just enough to make the bait kind of quiver and dance, whatever. But one of the things I've learned with the smallmouth is pretty much 9 out of 10 of them, if they're going to eat it, they when they see it, you're watching them on scope or whatnot, they see it and that bait comes descending down to the bottom, they run up to it, they fall it right down, and by the time you even get your line tight to go to shaking it, she's already got it eat. Very few of them do I get to bite if they didn't get it when it initially hit the bottom or on the initial fall. A lot of those smallmouth out at Mohave, I would watch them eat it before it ever got to the bottom. I mean, you'd see your drop shot and stuff going to the bottom. Here'd come the smallmouth, and you'd just see your weight stop below her chin. And so you knew she had it, and she's still 10 foot up off the bottom. So you could just reel down and lean into them. But most all of them would have it before you would ever pick up on it. You would just see them just disappear down the bottom with it. When you went to tighten it up, she was already there.
Huh. You, like I said, made a lot of money in the U.S. Open over the last 4 years. You won 2 seconds, 4th place finish. Have you figured out a way on Mohave to incorporate your AAA angler to add any fish? I think I've maybe had you on one time before, which I need to remind me before we close this interview. I've been looking into cruises, and I had you and your dad on last time where you guys were talking about cruises. So I've got some cruise questions, maybe on the verge of pulling the trigger on one here in the next 6 months. But have you figured out any way for that AAA angler to add a bonus fish here or there? What's your kind of strategy when that angler gets in the boat? Because it's, for those who don't know, it's a shared weight format. It's supposed to be 3 days. It was 2 days with weather shortened event this year. But you know, it's if you catch 20 pounds, your co-angler has 20 pounds. If your co-angler catches 20 pounds, you have 20 pounds. It's your best 5 combined. You're basically a team for that day. But with the scoping and the way Mohave does, there's some guys that have incorporated that better. Or how did that work out?
Yeah, I mean, for one, first off, the shared weight format is the deal.
Mm-hmm.
There's no argument to it. I mean, that is the deal, especially with the FFS issues that everybody seems to be thinking that there is right now with BFLs, whatever. The shared weight format is the answer. But out there, you know, it is predominantly just a scope fest on smallmouth. And so if you want to have a shot to win, that is. So, I mean, basically my AAAs, I tell them, you know, just throw around wherever you want, whatever. Let it go to the bottom. When it hits the bottom, shake it 2 or 3 times. If one doesn't have it, reel it in and do it again. You know, and some of them want to drag around a little jig or a swim bait or whatnot. But for the most part, once they see you go to just catching one on average every 5 to 8 minutes on a drop shot, they're like, I need to be throwing a drop shot. And I mean, I try to explain to them, I'm doming these fish. I mean, I'm literally putting it on these fish's head. So
Hmm.
it's, it's not that they're just eating a drop shot. It's the fact that I'm putting it in front of them. But I'll tell them, I pay attention. Sometimes, probably 50% throughout the day, one of these smallmouth will have 1 to 5 more with him. And so when I hook one, and if there's more with them, I'll tell them, throw right there, right where you see my line going in the water, 50 foot right that way, or whatever. Whenever this smallmouth comes up and jumps, land where she just jumped. And a lot of them will get bit on that cast because they're competing, very competitive. There's 4, 5, 6 of them. And a lot of times, even when there's only two, and I've got one of them on and one's following it, I'll tell my guy, dude, there's a 4 pounder right there with that one. Pitch over on it, and she'll follow him down to the bottom and eat it. Sometimes it works really well too. But for me, I mean, out there, this is my 4th year. Let's see, three years with 3 days, so that's 12. No, that's 9, and then 2.
Yeah.
So I've spent 11 days in tournament there, and I've weighed in a limit all 11 days. So that would be 55 bass. Am I correct there? 50,
Yeah, it sounds,
yeah,
yeah.
I've weighed in 55 bass in the U.S. Open. Out of the 55, I've weighed in 53 of them. I've had two fish that a Triple A's ever caught and weighed, and that was
Interesting.
both of those was on the very first year I ever fished in 2022. And I drew a guy from Canada that lives on the north side of Lake St. Clair. Guy was an absolute smallmouth master too, and he knew what was up. And he caught a 5 pounder behind me that day. We had an
Wow.
incredible day. Yeah, it was fun.
I say that. So, Richard Nickel fished it. He's from Oklahoma. I think he said he's like 55 or 60 years old, but he hadn't ever fished it before. I talk about the U.S. Open a lot on BTL, and he messaged me and he's like, "Hey, I signed up. I'm fishing the thing. Don't know anybody. I'm going out there. It was on my bucket list." And he sent me his links before, and he's like, "You ever heard of these guys?" And I hadn't. I said, "I don't know, but they could be great locals." And then he messaged me on Thursday and he said, I'll just read the deal on how this format, I think for this style of tournament is the deal. He said, "Matt, heading back from the Wombass US Open, great time, ended up 25th and in the money." He drew local from Bakersfield the first day. He said, "What an unbelievable scoper at 23 years old. You'll be hearing about him." Second day canceled due to high winds. I caught a 3.72 smallie on the last day to keep me in the money. Great time, great experience. I'm glad you and BTL suggested it. I'm so glad I went. He said it was a great time. He said they all told me I really needed to fish the Clear Lake Open next year. And that's someone who had never been out there, is from Oklahoma, who fished as a AAA and was in, I think, 7th or 8th place after the first day with a quote unquote live scoper. But very cool. What was your interaction like with Milliken? I mean, he didn't really publicize that he was going out there. A couple guys knew that he was fishing it. He kind of showed up when I knew he was in the field. I was like, you know what? Like, Ben's been doing this a minute. Like he knows how to catch it. We've seen what he's done out west. That was kind of a cool shootout that you guys had going into that final day on stage there at the end. I know there was a bunch of guys that were in it with the 2 days, but I mean, it was Milliken standing up there when you weighed in.
Yeah, I mean, I've never met him before, but he seemed like a really awesome guy. I mean, I've watched a lot of his stuff on YouTube over the last 5 to 8 years, however long he's been doing it. I thought he was an awesome guy, man. Wasn't shocked to see him finishing second in that at all, just because of the fact, it is predominantly a scope tournament, and I knew he was going to do pretty well out there, no doubt. So, I kind of had him in the back of my head a little bit while I was out there that second day, just because the wind blew so hard that first day that's what really had the weights dumbed down as bad as they were.
Okay.
And then that second day, not having any previous history of him out there, I'm thinking, they supposedly have some pretty secret stuff that they use to catch those big smallmouth up north and like Idaho and areas that they go. Just seeing them kind of make some of their posts, and I'm thinking, What if he's got something today the wind's going to allow, and he just shows these suckers something they've never seen? He catches a 25-pound bag of smallmouth because they're in there. Bertrand did it on the very first year,
Yeah.
and he's going to blow this thing away. And I'm like, man, that would suck because this is his first year out here, and I finished second my first year, and I don't want to finish second again. I want to win this thing, and so it would have been kind of a bummer, but it worked out. It worked out good, and like I've said, every one of these shows I've done since I've won or whatnot, I don't care if I ever win the U.S. Open again. I mean, obviously, I'd love to win it 10 more times.
Mhm.
I just wanted to win it one time. One time. That was it. I'm not a greedy person. I'll take second every year from now on and I'll be just fine. I just wanted my name on that trophy one time.
You've grown up in this sport. You know this game. What percent of anglers outside of the West Coast understand the prestige of the U.S. Open, even with social media, even with what Billy's done with it, even with the association with Bass and going to the Bass Nation Championship on that? Am I off base in thinking that there's still a huge chunk of guys who are sitting at home doing nothing in October simply because they don't understand the significance and the history of this event?
Yeah, 100%. I didn't understand it until I went out there and fished one. And once you go out there and fish it, I promise you, you will not miss it again. I mean, you're just not going to. That tournament is incredible. It's so well ran. The hospitality, those guys out there are awesome. Um, Man, it's just fun. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Me and my wife make a vacation out of it every year. We go out there, we fish that tournament, and then we, spend a couple of days extra coming back through Colorado, through the beautiful Rocky Mountains. And man, there's no way I would ever miss the U.S. Open. Lord willing, I'll be there for the next 20 years in a row.
Yeah. You got a boat for sale now?
I do. I
You
do.
want to talk it up? I mean, you're talking to guys who bass fish right here. It's boat buying season, Spencer.
Yeah, I mean it's a Z520R, brand new 250 Pro XS. It's got 3 lithiums and an AGM, no power poles, a manual jack plate, a Minn Kota Quest trolling motor, power pole charge, two 12-inch Lowrance, HDS Lowrance graphs. Let's see here, and I mean, it's valued as it sits. I had a dealer tell me the other day, dealer cost on that boat is like $92,000, and first person to offer me 75 to 80,000, I can have it.
Hit you up on social media.
Yeah, Spencer Shuffield Fishing on Facebook or Instagram at Sheffield Fishing.
It's interesting to me. This is one of the first times, so we have like a small sample size, but it's good. It's 4 years now. We talked about how consistent you are, and you mentioned how some of the other guys had little tricks there. But Bertrand, who won the first year on there, he was in the top 10. He ended up finishing 9th this year. Then Kyle Grover, who won in 2023, he ended up finishing 3rd this year. Then Bryant Smith, who won last year, he ended up finishing 5th this year. So there is definitely this isn't just go out and catch what's swimming around. Like there is definitely a group of guys who have that pond figured out. So
yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's got a pile of fish in it, and I think guys just kind of figuring out what those sections that are.
How many are you
for
catching
them.
a day? Like, is it a 6 to 10 fish, or could you actually go through a ton of fish?
No, I mean, like the worst day I ever had there was the 3rd year or the 2nd year I went when Grover won. I was just second right behind him going, and I only caught 12 pounds that day. Wind blew horrendously, and man, that year was awful, awful. And I think I caught probably a dozen that day. An average day out there, you're going to catch 50 to 60 smallmouth.
Holy cow! I didn't know that.
No, you whack them. I mean, and I mean, people are going to laugh when I say it, but in my opinion, Mohave is as good, if not a little better than Lake Champlain. I mean,
And I would imagine it doesn't get any. It gets pressure a couple weeks out of the year, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I've spent a lot of time on Champlain, and I've spent a lot of time on Mojave now. I've spent a lot more time on Champlain, and it's not like you see more fish on Champlain than you do Mojave. I mean, they're swimming around out there everywhere on Mojave as well, and the quality on average is a little better. I mean, it just is. I mean, you look, weights, compare the winning weight from Champlain to Mojave, and it's pretty much dead on. I mean, it might take like 22 and a half to 23 more so to win on Champlain, but it's good, dude. I'm just telling you, Mojave is really incredible.
One quote in the article that was written, he said this U.S. Open ranks as your greatest accomplishment, more than the title win.
100%, 100%. I'd give that title win up 3 times over for the U.S. Open win.
Yeah,
100%.
dude, you're amassing quite the resume. I mean, you have that title now. You've got a U.S. Open. You're in the $1 Million Club. Back-to-back top 15s on the BPT. Looking forward to 2026 and kind of a newly adjusted 50-man format.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I love fishing the Bass Pro Tour, man. It's an incredible trail to fish. It's a lot of fun. I love the schedule this year. I like how we do a couple, days on one lake and the last final days on another lake. I like that kind of thrown in throughout the schedule. Now that we got a 50-man field, we're going to get to fish a lot smaller bodies of water that typically you wouldn't see on a national tournament trail. That could be just incredible weights. That's going to be very exciting. So there's a lot of good things in the future, man. A lot of positives, and I'm looking forward to getting this 2026 season underway.
Heck yeah, I'm gonna let you bounce. Oh, I did have one more question. You weren't like really light lining those suckers, like 10-pound test, I think is what I read, right? Like it wasn't like a 6-pound spook them into biting. Like, I mean, 10-pound test is pretty
Yeah,
stout.
no, yeah, I use 10-pound Yozuri T7 on all my drop shots, and I use 12 on like a sniper jig or a heavier Ned if I'm using Ned or a swim bait or whatnot. Um, I haven't seen it to make a difference. The first 2 years I went out there, I was using six to eight, and every single day I would break off a big smallmouth or two right at the boat. Their teeth out there are unlike any other smallmouth I've ever caught. Like they're a lot sharper, they're thicker, they're longer. Just they really got teeth, and they'll cut your line. It's not that they
Huh.
break in your line; they cut it.
Are there
So
no
I went,
crawfish out there?
oh, huge crawfish, dude, biggest
And they
crawfish
still
I ever
have
seen.
teeth.
Yes. The
You would think
sucker,
it'd be the opposite.
the crawfish are as big as your hand. They're bright red. They're puking them up everywhere in your live well. It's incredible. But no, their teeth around the rim of their lips are so dang sharp and thick. And so I went to 10 last year when I went out there, and I've never broke one off since.
Interesting. They kind of
And it
look
doesn't
like
seem to
there's
matter.
different strains of smallmouth, right? And I've
Yep.
always thought over the last 4 years of looking at these, and you've had your hands on more of them than probably anybody, they look like a northern strain.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't look
They're
like we catch like on a Texoma or something like that.
no, and they fight like a northern smallmouth. Anywhere else I've been, outside the north catching smallmouth, I mean, yeah, smallmouth's gonna fight decent, but they get at the boat and you try and get your hands on them and they go freaking crazy. They jump in, running. I mean, it's all you can do to just try and get one calm enough you can scoop her up. They're wild as can be, but we get to use nets in that tournament,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got a partner netting for you, so it makes it really nice in the tournament. You're not sitting there trying to mess around with them on the side of the boat to get them lit because I'm telling you, they're a pain in the rear.
I'm, I'm glad we don't have co-anglers in the open anymore. I try to be like exceptionally nice to people. And
Yeah.
like if I look back over the course of my life at the times that I've just been brutally rude to people that I don't
Yeah.
know, every single time is me with a key fish on and someone that I just got in the boat with me netting it. And I look back at the video and I'm like, God, I probably could have been a lot nicer on that. I'm like, get it, you idiot! Net it, get it! What are you doing? No! And then I go look back and I'm like, oh, this poor guy. Like that, for some reason, like the only thing that trips in my head is when you have someone that you don't know that's trying to net like the fish that you need.
Yeah, 100% high stress situation, and you're thinking out loud.
Yeah. All right, dude. I greatly appreciate you jumping on. I know you've done a lot of these things. Hell of a way to end the year. 160 grand. Like I said, if you guys are interested in a new vessel for next year, Spencer does have that available. Sounds like you're doing a pretty good deal too. Spencer Shuffield, all of your social media, congratulations on a really good year and a heck of a way to wrap it up. So yeah, we were looking at the cruises, man. We're
Dude,
almost on a cold
we-
weather one though, but I remember you and your pops, you guys are warm weather cruisers.
Yeah, we hop on one a week from Saturday. We're headed out. Me, the wife, my mom, my dad, all the kids. So we're gonna have a good time. We're going out of Port Canaveral though. So
Where does that take you?
well, you can go to a bunch of places from Port Canaveral, but we're going to Nassau. Uh, how do they say, Turks and Caicos, I think is
Yep.
how you say it, and then St. Martin
Wow.
or St. Martin, St. Kitts down there, the Virgin Islands,
Are you
and then
picking
it's
it
like
up
a
now that you just smoked the U.S. Open? Is this a
no, no,
Spencer
no,
Shuffield cruise lines now?
no. No, we book them way
Oh, okay.
ahead. Every
Okay.
year we spring break on my kids' spring break, and then fall break we go on one, and we're going on another one the week before Christmas. So
Have
we
you
try
ever
and do
like
three a
looked over
year.
the side or off the balcony or anything and like see like tuna or pelagics or like see fish busting on bait while you're just like rolling across the open ocean?
No, I never have. I mean, you see a lot of dolphins depending on where you take out at, or wherever you're porting
Mm-hmm.
from. You'll see a lot of dolphins. They'll follow you out for a long ways. But out actually on the ocean, once you're out there, I mean, 'cause I spend a lot of time just staring down in the water, like, man, this. I mean, it looks like I just imagining being out in a bass boat in those waves, and you're trying to measure them. Like, what would that be like right now if I was standing out there on the trolling motor? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you'll see a lot of flying fish, lots of flying fish if you watch. And we've seen it. We've seen some stingrays. We have seen some stingrays out there in the middle, but other than that, that's it.
All right. Spencer Shuffield, 2025, one bass, U.S. Open champion from the pro division on Lake Mohave. That's got to sound good to hear.
Yeah, man, I love it. I really
right.
do. I'm gonna cherish that trophy in that event for the rest of my life.
I don't know. I have a feeling like you might. I have a feeling you might add a couple.
Maybe we'll see. I'm gonna be out there no matter whether they keep going to Mojave or they switch it to Meade or go to Havasu or Clear Lake or wherever. I just enjoy that event. I can't wait to go out there and fish the next one.
All right. Thanks for the time. I appreciate it, Spencer.
See you, buddy. Thank you.
All right, that is Spencer Shuffield. Like I said, some really good interviews with Spencer. I love when him and his dad Ron were on and talked about it. So I can't thank him enough for taking time this morning. There's a lot of other stuff that went down this past week. You can get a truncated version of it tomorrow out on the Best on Tour this week with Dave Rush. But when we come back, I want to dive into the BFL news. And we'll just kind of put it out there and just see how that goes. It's BTL on a Monday, back in studio October 13th, 2025.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
As a professional angler, there's only one thing that connects you to your paycheck. Probably the most crucial part to tournament bass fishing. I use Sunline because they have a line for every application. Shooter, FX2, All Might, super light line, big stuff, big sticks. Sunline has you covered.
Sharp as can be. Super strong, super durable.
Really good penetration.
Thinner and stronger.
Catch fish after fish.
I want to make sure that I'm using the best stuff possible.
World's finest hook. World's finest hook.
Gamakatsu, world's finest hook.
At Beatdown Outdoors, we know you depend on your gear to hold up in any condition. We built for that. We test for that. In fact, we pride ourselves in that. Because we know when the time comes to test your gear, you aren't going to take it easy, so we won't. We build premium, made-in-the-USA products that you can rely on in the moments when your equipment should be the last thing on your mind. I fish in some of the worst elements across the country. Spring.
That's a giant, dude.
Summer.
Oh my gosh. Hi. Look at that thing.
Winter.
It's so cold.
And fall.
Got it. Big one. That's awesome. Being comfortable and staying dry is the only option.
AFCO. Any fish, any water.
When I'm in a tournament, conditions are constantly changing and every second matters. With the Deep Dive app, I can instantly pull up all the current lake conditions all in one spot. So no more looking at weird government websites. In just one quick glance, I have water clarity, water level, wave forecast. It's all right there in the Deep Dive app. Download the Deep Dive app and get all the tools you need to put together an awesome tournament.
All right, welcome back. BTL on a Monday. Press release from October 9th. MLF. MLF announces, this is interesting because this is kind of buried in the press release. I don't fish BFLs. I don't really care either way. I just think it's interesting. MLF announces lower entry fees, bigger payouts for 2026 Phoenix Bass Fishing League. MLF's grassroots circuit enters 2026 season with reduced entry fees and improved payouts, setting the stage for the most rewarding season in the league's 46-year history. I was like going into the old timers' house, and they've got the Red Man spittoon up there for their BFL, for their old school BFLs, as back 25 years ago. All right. Talks about yada yada, super tournaments, payout structure. Since it's inaugural, it's the foundation for all this premise. And then there's this line that says all BFL events will include restricted use of forward-facing and 360-degree sonar technology, limited to 3 hours of consecutive use per day, maintaining a fair and balanced playing field for all anglers while emphasizing skill and strategy. I think you have to give MLF a chance to see how they are going to implement this, to enforce it, and to follow it. Gut reaction, this is similar to the Bassmaster release where you don't placate anybody with this decision. The co-anglers and the anglers who do not want forward-facing sonar in the game aren't going to be happy because there's still 3 hours of use on it. The anglers who want to fish with forward-facing sonar available to them are not going to be happy because now they have 2/3 without it. Obviously, the BFLs are looking. There's two things that the BFLs are trying to do. One is bring anglers back to the BFL platform. The BFLs, I'll say it here, are not what they were 15 years ago, not what they were 10 years ago, not what they were 8 years ago. You can look at certain divisions that have maintained good numbers, but there's a lot of divisions that are really down. You're seeing 40, 50, 60 boat BFLs, unheard of, where it would have been 200, 220, 230. You're seeing a very discrepancy of co-anglers where, you used to have a link and things like that. You're seeing co-anglers who aren't fit. Now, they also changed the payout model. And, if you're not a Phoenix boat owner and stuff, it just kind of depends on what you're looking at. Are you looking at payout? I mean, the payout for the top 10 is, quite frankly, the last couple of years has been embarrassing unless you win it and you're contingency rich on it. So the BFLs are the BFLs, the Bass Nation, the Federation, those type of things. Those are the grassroots guys. Every single person over the last 30 years that have come up through the sport, some exceptions a little bit now with some of the collegiate options and West Coast options, but for the most part, I'll fish the BFLs at some point. You can go back and look at 100. Well, depends on who you want to call a professional now. 152. that do this at the Elite Series and the BPT level. I would venture to say 150 of them have fished a BFL at one point. So I will work on getting, once that is out, as far as how they're going to enforce that, how that's going to work at that level. I've talked with some professional anglers before, and there is a massive difference between someone who does this professionally, who has people that help install, that can change their configuration on the boat, and someone who does this recreationally but tournament fishes. If you're going to have to be changing your electronic setup, moving it, taking stuff on, taking stuff off, I'm just curious to see how it works. The other big thing is Tucker Smith is a freaking beast. The Ultimate Angler, sponsored by the state of Alabama, went out of Goose Pond, was this tournament. It had some TTBC vibes to it, to where you had anglers from every single league and organization that you could become, part of the Ultimate Angler, and then you qualify for it. You had BPT guys, Elite Series guys. But the thing about this is the payout was ridiculous. It was 3 days on Guntersville this past weekend, which was also on top of the Gerald Swindle, like a big bass bash, where Swindle was in the Ultimate Angler. The guys I talked to said there were a lot of boats on the water. There are about 800 boats in the big bass tournament, 200 boats in this. Guaranteed payout. First place, 500,000. Second place, 130. Third place, 80. And then it went 70, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30, 25. And it was a no forward-facing sonar event. And it was kind of a who's who. A lot of locals that got into this, a lot of the younger anglers. And Tucker Smith, who in November of 2021 was one half of the Logan Parks was the other half of the winning duo that won Johnny Morris's U.S. Open, not to be confused with the One Bass U.S. Open. This was the Bass Pro Shops U.S. Open, as a 20-year-old that won the $1 million. Now, they also got a truck and a boat and all sorts of sponsorship and stuff on that. But, I mean, that was the richest one at the time there. And this one was the second richest as far as money was concerned. So Tucker goes out and goes 71 pounds, 6 ounces over 3 days to win $500,000. Second tournament that he's won $500,000 in after winning the U.S. Open on Table Rock Lake. He's a 3-time high school national champion. He's won a collegiate national championship. This year he's won a Toyota Series. He won an Elite Series on Lake Fork with the second heaviest winning weight ever. He's like 24 years old, 23 years old. This year, just between the Ultimate Angler, the Elite Series, and the one Toyota that he won on Champlain, $705,000. Jigs, swim baits, minnows, with forward facing, without forward facing, northern fisheries, TVA fisheries, Ozark fisheries. He is unstoppable. And I'm going to say this because I fished in the Bassmaster Open on Lake Eufaula in March of 2023. And the news cycle moves incredibly fast when it comes to Tucker got DQ'd from that event. There was some allegations of hole sitting. There was that lawyer dude that was involved and all that. And at the time, there's a bit of a witch hunt for Tucker Smith. He was this phenom that was supposed to be the next big thing. He had the college success. He had the open success. He was jumping into the EQs. He was seen as, even though, now that we know that, he wasn't based, is seen by the quote unquote haters as just a scope kid, very unassuming. He has this happen. He gets DQ'd. I mean, there was a witch hunt. it was a very make or break situation for a young angler who's not extremely vocal. Like, you're around him, the dude is so laid back, quiet confidence about him. He issued a statement of that. He said, when it happened, I was not really sure how to handle the situation in that moment. By not reporting the incident resulted in it removing my 7th place finish. I violated the sportsmanship requirement to report the incident. I was unaware. To be clear, he came out with this statement and then he was quiet. He didn't really do the podcast. He didn't do the shows. That was 2.5 years ago. And to see what Tucker has done, the moves that he's made, how he's evolved, I take my hats off to the guy. There is no doubt in my mind that he is one of the top 5 anglers right now that we will rely on moving forward for the next 20 years with this sport. Incredibly talented, unassuming, a really good interview, a really good kid, and a really good example of what Bass and MLF and Wade over at Collegiate Bass, what all these guys kind of had as a vision of how you could mold, how you could grow anglers, how you could give them a platform to succeed at each level, to get their names out. Tucker has taken advantage of that. He has made the connections. He has met the people. He's excelled at every level, from the junior to the high school to the collegiate to the opens to the elite series. And then you throw in the $500,000 with Logan in the US Open on Table Rock and the $500,000 in this ultimate angler here. Very reminiscent of the early couple days when Jordan Lee came up through, kind of one of the first guys there through Auburn. Tucker also same school there, but it's cool to watch a legend in the making, kind of perfecting his craft and doing it a number of different ways and shutting up the haters. I mean, there were a lot of guys that were, quote, scope guys in the top 10 of this that, they had no business even catching a fish because they don't know how to catch a fish without forward facing. And they took some damn checks. I mean, I see an Emil Wagner up there. I see a Hayden Marbit, obviously a Tucker Smith, a Jacob Wall. I mean, there were some guys. Carter Nutt was in the top 50. There were some guys that have taken some shots for how they fish that they prove that fishing is fishing. So interesting time in the sport. Really looking forward to tomorrow's show. I don't think Randy or Laker know this. Well, I know Laker doesn't, but 7 years ago, I went to Gunnersville to film which was a 20 feet deep documentary. And I think where they're going to be doing the interview from, I was filming with Randy Howell on the day that they were breaking ground for the house that they're currently in. And Laker was like 12 years old, something like that. So I think Randy and Laker Howell tomorrow on BTL. So big shout out to Spencer Shuffield. Appreciate the time. And I'm going to get all of I don't have any of the audio out for that Master Angler Quest. I'm going to put all those out on YouTube or on iTunes, and then this show will go out after. So this has been another edition of Day 4 of Bass Talk Live. I've been doing that a lot lately. It's because I talk to Frank every day because all the clothing is starting to ship. Another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live. Same time, same place. Tomorrow morning we'll talk to everyone then. See ya.